What's up, everybody? Welcome to the KT Talk Show, formerly known as Connect with KT. Wanted to let you guys know the app and program that I use for my podcast. This is a completely free program where you can download and record and edit your podcast for free. There is an app that's free, and you go to anchor.fm to use it online on your laptop. There's a creation tool on here where you can edit. And also there is no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And remember, you can download the free app or go to anchor.fm. Another thing to remember is I am now on the Heart Grid Network, which is on captivate.fm. We are currently working on putting all our episodes on all platforms, including Spotify and Apple, so make sure to listen to us on there as well. If you guys don't already know, the KT Talk Show is now on the Heart Grid Network. The Heart Grid Network is now on captivate.fm, and we are working on moving all our episodes to all other podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple. So be sure to check us out, the KT Talk Show on the Heart Grid Network, and other shows that you can find there as well. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the KT Talk Show. I have Connie on here again this afternoon. Super exciting. We just connected so well. We just, we're like, we got to do another one. And today we are talking about creating a vision board. And just a quick little side note, my daughter and I are thinking about creating one. So I was like, this is honestly the perfect time to talk about this. So Connie is going to first start with how, why it's important to create a vision board, and then how to get started in creating that vision board.
Thank you so much, Katie. And first, thank you so much for having me back. We had such a great time the last time, and
Right.
So I'm honored to be back on your show. For anyone just super quick who may have missed the first episode, I am Connie Jo Holmes. I am the owner of Be You to Be Full, and I am a certified life and health coach and a certified hypnotherapist. And so a lot of the work that I do centers around a person's mindset. And then ultimately that turns into setting goals. So as Katie said today, and just with it being a new year and, January and whatnot, it's such a great time for people to maybe sit down and think about creating a vision board. So I'll go ahead and introduce that to you. I think some people may have heard what a vision board is, or some people call them a dream board or different things like that. Really, in a nutshell, what a vision board is it is a visual depiction of where you want to see your life in several years down the road. There is no timeline necessarily. A vision board is just that. It's very futuristic. And the nice thing about it is there's no set dates on them. Once you start dating things, then those become goals, which we'll talk about that just a little bit later too. But so a vision board is just that. Like I said, it's setting what your future is. One thing I do want to share is a story I heard quite some time ago. Unfortunately, I did not, you know how sometimes when you read something and you're like, it really sticks with you, but you never think to write down where you read it or saw it or something like that.
Of course.
I know.
Yeah.
I wish I would have in this case, because it's such an amazing story. But there was actually a man who told this story that when he was in college, one of his college professors asked the class to make a vision board. And so he had done that, and he carried it with him everywhere. Well, fast forward, 20, 25 years later, and he is moving himself, his wife, and his kids out of their house to move into their dream home. And as he is emptying out their attic, he comes across his vision board from decades earlier. And I have goosebumps just saying this out loud. On his vision board, he actually sees a house nearly identical to the house that him and his wife are moving into.
Wow. That's so awesome.
Right.
That's
And
so
like,
cool.
oh, it's so cool. And it's just such a great story to remind you that this stuff is real. And
Right. Yes.
yeah. You
Definitely.
got to put your mind behind it. So, so anyways, so thank you for letting me sidetrack on that little story quick.
Of course.
But anyway, so yeah, so the vision board, some people get a little bit hung up on like, well, how big should it be? And what do I need to put on it? And all that kind of stuff. When I hold retreats where we do vision boards, I purposely choose an 11 by 14 size of poster board. Some people, yes, go out and buy the, 24 by 36 size, do whatever you want. But the reason I like actually a smaller size is because, depending on your living arrangements, do you really have a room in your house that you can hang this big monster size poster?
Probably not.
Right, exactly. And so I, again, was very intentional with the size because, and I know everyone's bathrooms are different nowadays, but in my bathroom, I still have, that old fashioned medicine cabinet, So what I do is I actually open my medicine cabinet door. I actually tape my vision board to the inside of my medicine cabinet. So then that way, for the most part, I'm pretty much the only one seeing it. But then when I am brushing my teeth every morning, I stand there and I look at my vision board. And so it's and that's what you do want to do with a vision board, is you really want to penetrate your subconscious mind with it. So, sorry with that last part. I felt like I was a little all over the place. I started with explaining the size. So, and so what you do is you just prepare yourself, just kind of tuck yourself away in a nice, quiet, private room and, set the mood, burn a candle, have a cup of tea, whatever your scenario is, and turn on some music or something like that. And you just surround yourself with your blank poster board, with scissors, with a lot of magazines, and either tape or a glue stick. And I always tell people, first and foremost, turn that poster board over, put your name in the upper right-hand corner and date it, because you will at some point want to go back and look at the date on this vision board, especially when your dreams start to come true. So, anyways, and then really all you do is you just flip through the magazines and whatever speaks to you. And it can be in, the house you live in, the job you have, the car you drive, the hobbies that you, busy yourself with, that type of thing. And it's so fun to put it together. There's no rhyme or reason as far as like the size of pictures you use or, what you even choose. I've done several vision boards in my life, and I have one that is pretty much all pictures. But then I have one that, and I didn't go into this thinking I was going to do it this way, but I have another one that is all just like words and phrases, which is kind of fun and interesting too. Yeah. So, any questions so far?
You with the board, and you said the size, because I know obviously people, like you said, are not going to be able to fit a humongous, like this humongous, like wall size, vision board as much as we'd like to. I think, that's quite creative. As far as like the type of, I know this might kind of sound silly, but, and you said like a poster board, but is there anything like, let's say somebody else wants to be a little bit more creative and, maybe use like a canvas or something? Could somebody make like a painting out of it? Like
Yes, that is such a great question. And that's what I love about this, because it's your vision board. So you bring it to life however you want. I've even seen people, with their finished project, frame it, in a really beautiful frame. Right. I have seen people actually use cork boards. So if that's the case, then you would, just thumbtack up your pictures or something like that. So again, as with most things in life, there is no right or wrong. It's just whatever fits you and your heartbeat. So, but yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah. That was the only question I really had for that. Cause I was actually just thinking in my head, like, oh, it'd be cool to like frame it and kind of hang it up, like maybe in your hallway or something. So you could go and look at it every day. That's just what I was thinking while you were talking about that. So,
well, I'm glad you said that, to look at it every day, because that is a perfect segue into, why would people create a vision board? So again, your vision board is very futuristic. I would say, and again, this is no rule of thumb either, but I would say maybe think about it from 5 to 10, maybe even 15 years from now. And quite honestly, there should be things on there that scare you and almost intimidate you. And I don't want to use the word embarrass. That's not the right word. But make you almost be like, oh my gosh, can I really do that?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Like almost excited, but just kind of like, kind of bashful about it, maybe. I don't know if that's
bashful. That's a great word for it.
Good.
Yes. Because, that is exactly the point. It is something that, you are just striving for. So again, that's the point of the vision board. And then, you mentioned, to look at it every day, and that is key. And that's why too, I think people use, cutouts from magazines and stuff like that, because it's very colorful. All the pictures or words or phrases you use are different fonts or different sizes and things like that. So just by that nature, it's very eye-catching. So with your subconscious and conscious mind. So some people may have heard this before, and I've heard different percentages. I've heard people say that it's between 90 and 95% of your daily operations come from your subconscious mind. And then that small remainder, which is whether you want to say 5 or 10%, either way, it's a big parallel.
A big number. Yeah.
A big spread. Yes, exactly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And so it's so what we're doing with a vision board or affirmations or mantras or anything like that, what you're doing is you're really getting that message into your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind is very similar to a computer in that it records everything, it stores everything, it just absolutely remembers everything. And in many ways, that is a very, very good thing, such as a vision board, because it's bringing this to life for you. So I'm so glad you said that about seeing it every day, because that is the point of a vision board.
So that you're looking at it every single day, you're visualizing that happening or being in your life, or you completing that action or task. And also with it creates habits. And then I don't know if that goes in with creating the vision board, because I know you mentioned with it creating habits, and then with those habits creating more habits. So I don't know if you want to go in, if that's relative to that or not, but that's kind of what I was thinking about.
Yes, most definitely. So, but yeah, well, and one thing before I just move on to that, what you just said triggered this further thought. And all of this is subtle. It's not like you need to stand and stare at your vision board for, 3 hours a day or anything like that. And that's why I said earlier, like how I just put it on the back of my medicine cabinet, because the 2 minutes it takes to brush my teeth, I am looking at that. And it's really subtle. And it's just enough to just kind of place that thought, that vision in the back of my mind. And then when it's ready to come to life, it will come to life. So that part's really great.
Just remembering to have,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. My microphone cut out. That was my fault.
Oh, okay.
And it's just about, and I already forgot what I was going to say. So you just keep going, because I'm going to totally ramble. It's okay. It's my fault.
Well, I get talking about this stuff too, and I get so darn excited.
It's all good. So you can just finish your thought, and then maybe it'll come back to me.
Okay. One other thing, I had mentioned earlier, like setting the stage for when you create your vision board. I had suggested, like maybe playing music and burning a candle and, sipping on tea or whatever it is. The reason I suggest that is because with my hypnosis work, I find that whenever I can bring in as many senses as a person can in a situation, the deeper that message is. Because you know how we've all heard people say like, oh, well, can we etch that out because I'm more of a visual learner? Or, can you say that slower because I'm more of an auditory learner? And so that's why I suggest like when you do things to set the stage, because, if you are somebody who you really react to smell and you had like your favorite scented candle burning, it might just, when you smell that again, it might bring you back to that afternoon that you spent creating your vision board. Or if you were sipping on your favorite glass of wine or tea or something like that, the same type of thing. So that's why I do suggest that to people, to bring in as many senses as they can when they create things.
Yeah, so then it's always reminding you of that pretty much constantly, and it's putting it into that subconscious mind like you were talking about, because you're using so much of it every day. So this is a way to just engrave that, what's the right word for that? Basically just pushing it in your subconscious. So then you're being more aware of that actual vision for yourself rather than focusing on overthinking or, just the things that we do every day that are not necessarily relevant.
I have a quick story to support that. So, and I'm going to date myself here because I don't even think they make this perfume anymore. But when I was in my early 20s, there used to be a perfume called Beautiful, and I used to wear it all the time. And so during that time, I had actually gone on 2 different cruises. And so, they were lovely, vacations and things like that. But years ago, but also years after, I had actually come across Beautiful again, this perfume. And as soon as I smelled it, I was back on that cruise ship in my mind. and it really was. And I thought, or like, think about like if you, homemade cookies that your grandma used to make or something like that, and you walk into a room and it takes you back to grandma's kitchen.
100%. Yes, right. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So, but yeah, so what I like to tell people, because, especially this time of year, you hear many people talk about different things. They talk about a vision board. They talk about goal setting. They talk about routines and to-do list and all that stuff. And quite honestly, all of that can get very overwhelming. And then in the overwhelm, people may tend to not do anything or do something, but then not, be consistent with it or follow through. So one thing that I like to suggest to people is that all 3 of these things, vision boards, goal setting, and then daily to-do list, they all complement each other. And, there's just a common vein that runs through all of them. And so what I like to suggest people do is to just, and it's winter, what else? And it's still, in the middle of COVID. So what else are we doing? So let's
exactly
run to our local store and grab a poster board and some magazines and let's, do a vision board. So the vision board is intended to be just so fun and so creative and just excites you like crazy. And then I like to suggest to people to, look at that vision board and to say, okay, out of all these things on this vision board and what I would love to, be, do, have, and give in my life, what is the most important to me right now? And, or what thing on my board, if I do first, will allow some of the others to happen quicker or more naturally or something like that. Now, unfortunately, I don't have an answer for everyone on that because that's an individual decision. But, hopefully people can look at their vision board and determine, okay, this is, what I need to do. So then, and I also suggest to people with their goals, definitely have a goal a year. Everybody needs something to look forward to and work towards, in my opinion. I really suggest to people, though, to not have any more than 3 goals a year. And if it is 3, they really should be, not super huge goals. And if it is a super huge goal, just have it be 1. And the reason behind that is just so that you can give your full attention to it and really concentrate and knock it out. And then once you're done with that, go on to your next one.
Right, exactly. And what about for people who are, and you might kind of already touched on this a little bit, but what about for people who are just trying to create new habits for themselves? Like maybe they don't have a really big goal necessarily. I mean, maybe everybody does. I don't know. But I'm just saying that I'm just thinking about people that are maybe struggling a little bit, and they need just a way to, a vision board / kind of a habit tracker, I guess, is what, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're reading my mind. You are giving me so many segues into the next thing. Because I had mentioned earlier vision boards, goals, and then to-do list. And so what you said makes me think a little bit about either journaling or to-do list. And it's, so let me touch upon that just briefly, because with these three things and how I want people to not feel overwhelmed with this, but to remember how they complement each other, I suggest to people to look at a vision board as being, I live in Florida and I want to drive across country and go visit Washington State. This is my big dream. And this is what I want to do. And I want to do it because I want to see pine trees. I want to see mountains. I want to taste cold water lobster, whatever it is. I'm trying to do polar opposite of Florida to Washington State. Yeah. So that is your big dream. And those are your whys, the mountains, the pine trees, and the cold water lobster. So picture that as your vision board. And then picture your goal or goals as being, so just think about that. If you were to drive from Florida to Washington State, you would get out a map and you would say, okay, well, cousin Susie lives in this state, cousin Tom lives over here. I probably better go and visit them or whatever. And so you would look at this US map and you would then figure out your route, and why this is your route. And so then I picture that as kind of equating and giving an example of what a goal would be, because you start to etch out your plan and you give a little bit more detail to it, complete with when are you going? When are you doing this? Yeah. And then my last thing is, and again, I'm using the analogy of, driving across country. So then your daily to-do list that would feed up to your goal. So using the analogy of driving across country, your daily to-do list would be, once you figure out, okay, on this day at this time, I'm leaving, Florida to drive to Washington State, and I'm stopping at all these places. But now you start to put in the fine little details, such as how many hours it's going to take you to get to destination A, and what hotel are you going to book, and then how long is it going to take you to get to the next location? What kind of sightseeing you might want to do, in the meantime, and that type of thing. So it might be a little bit of a weird analogy, but I actually honestly just last week in working with somebody, this popped into my head, and I thought, gosh, I actually kind of like that, because I think a lot of people can relate to that, like the thought of driving across country and everything that goes into that.
Yeah, definitely. And also I was just thinking of a question. How often, and this might be individual too, but how often should you be spending time on those little goals, to create that big goal every day? Because you said, work on it every day, the to-do list every day.
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you an example. So,
okay,
there is a process of setting goals. And there's many ways to set goals, but I personally use a process of looking at like my biggest, most powerful goal I could hit. I write down all the different things I want to do. Okay. And then I look at my list of everything I want to do. And then I determine, okay, but out of all of these things, if I do this, it will make these things come easier. A very personal example to this. I did this as recently as March of 2020. Okay. I honestly did it when COVID first occurred, and I held an online class to help people stay empowered, productive, and positive during uncertain times. And together we all created goals. At that time, and this is a true story. At that time, I wanted 3 things. I wanted to lose weight and get in shape. I wanted to write my book and publish my book. And I wanted to get back into the great habit I once had of waking up at 5 a.m. So looking at those 3 big things that I wanted to do, I was like, oh, where do I start? Where do I start? And at first I thought, well, you know what? I'm going to start with the exercise and losing weight because that's going to give me more energy. And, and then I have more energy to, write my book and all this kind of stuff. But the more I noodled it over, I was like, no, me waking up at 5 a.m. is the best thing for me to do because, one, I'm awake, an hour to 2 hours before I really need to start my day. And then, with that time, it allows me to exercise and it allows me time to write. And so that's how I just naturally came up with my answer. So I really hope that your listeners, can do that as well. But, it does take a little time and it requires you to write everything on paper so you can really study it. But I have got to tell you, I wrote these out in March of 2020. By September, it was September 25th, I published my very first book. And I lost 50 pounds it was the end of August. I kid you not.
That is so amazing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. That's so cool.
It is a true story. If anyone cares to go on my Facebook page, you can totally track my months that I just relate all that because it is a true story. And so that my point of this is that this stuff works. So let me tell you, my vision board, sure enough, I have a picture. I have it right here in front of me. I'm looking at. I have a picture of a woman with just a ripped stomach, just beautiful ripped stomach. I have a picture of somebody, not a sign, words that say international best-selling author.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Awesome. So that truly is on my vision board. But then, like I said, and even though I knocked out 2 of my goals, I did it by waking up at 5 a.m., like picking a goal that really is not on my vision board, Yeah. And then really what I did then, so then my to-do list, and again, using the driving across the country analogy. So now I'm booking my hotels and, figuring out what touristy stops I'm going to stop at. My to-do list were really, nightly, I would just write out like what I needed to do for the next day. And then, before I went to bed, I made sure that I charged my phone because I use that, I think like many people probably do now, I use my phone as my alarm. So instead of charging it by my bed, I charged it in the bathroom. So then I had to get out of bed. And then I had my workout clothes sitting on the floor. So I literally tripped over them as I ran to the bathroom to shut off my alarm.
Like, oh, gotta pick these up, right?
Right, exactly. So those, and not that I wrote that out every night, but it was a habit that I created every night to help lend to the success.
Yeah, and I feel like you and I are similar in that aspect because some of those goals you were like, oh man, I need to write those goals for myself, first of all. And second of all, rather than just besides writing it down, like actually just telling myself, and putting the clothes out and kind of like making myself do those things, even though I know that if I wasn't to put those clothes out the night before, because I would do the same thing. If I wasn't to put those clothes out, I wouldn't really think about it. And then I would get distracted and do something else.
Yes.
But that's really cool that I just thought that was really cool because that's something that I feel like I need to do. I need to put it when I wake up, like, no, this is what the first thing you need to be doing this morning. I just had to comment on that because I feel like some of us need that, just nope. Right here, right in your face, like take care of it right now and do this. You got this.
Exactly. So I think that answers your earlier question about, daily habits and things like that. So again, whether you journal or you make to-do list or you like set things out and, do that type of thing. To me, those are all kind of in the same class, I guess. And, but the point is to do it, constantly. And there is one thing on that. So so one thing with your goals too, like at 5 a.m. So sorry, let me be clear here. So with your goals, you do want them to be small enough that you can do something towards that goal every single day. That is leading you towards your ultimate goal. Yes, waking up at 5 a.m. is a big old pain, and, especially when you went to bed too late or something like that.
Yeah.
But you know what? It doesn't kill anybody. So of course I could do that every day. Because they actually say, you really don't want to miss a day. You really, really don't. But you definitely don't want to miss any more than 2 days in a row. Because that is just enough to knock you off of your game, get you out of that, habit that you're creating, that type of thing. So that's pretty important too.
Yeah, definitely. I personally know that from my own experience. If I do, I have to do it every single day. I do. I can't even miss one day. I'm just that type of person. I cannot, if I even miss that once that second day I didn't do it, I'll find an excuse, like, oh, whatever, whatever your ego wants to say to you that day to make you not want to do it. But I can relate. I can relate to that for sure. 100%. But I think, yeah. And as far as like identifying goals, everybody, like you've mentioned a couple times, it's going to be different for everybody. So just because, we're talking about waking up at 5 a.m. or losing weight doesn't mean that has to be your goal. You can talk about traveling to Europe. Even though I don't know about COVID and all that, I hate to say that, but that's just where we are right now. And also I like how you said, with that going on, we have the time to do this. Like, why not take the time, invest in yourself? This is 100% investing in yourself. And not only are you doing that, but you're influencing other people. And like I mentioned, I want to influence my daughter to do, create a vision board for herself, even if it's as silly as, she wants to get an A in math for the rest of the year or something like that. It doesn't matter.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. I just wanted to make that, little statement that, we're sitting here talking about different things, but we also, just want to emphasize that it's going to be different for everybody and the experience is going to be different, but just having consistency and repetition and, don't overwhelm yourself because that's where you're going to fall off. You might, because because you're not following, steps that are good for you, not necessarily what we're, you know what I'm saying?
Very wise words. You're 100% right. And you know what? Thank you for, talking about the goals, because you're right. So many people, I think it's just like losing weight and getting in shape is kind of always that default example, right? Because, I think that is a thing for many people. But let me give one other example. Because like I said, mine was losing weight, writing a book. But then from that, I decided my best bet to accomplish that was getting up early. But one other example is like, let's say somebody, because this could be, a lot of people in the world right now. Let's say somebody is sitting here with credit card debt that they want to pay off. But then they also want to save more money, but also they're not real happy at their job right now. That's probably
that's a good one. That's a really good one. Yeah.
Right. And unfortunately, it could be 99% of the people listening. So if that's the case, and again, I'm not in your head, I'm not in your situation. So who am I to say what it should be? That's where you need to do some really good soul searching. But something to consider is, again, you put it on paper so it's in front of you and you're like, okay, find a new job. All right, well, how bad is mine right now? How desperate is this situation? Whatever. Okay, save more money. What's my current situation? That type of thing. And then the credit card debt, like, okay, how much do I have to pay off? So you really just look at it in front of you. Well, so most people might look at that and say, okay, I have to pick one of these goals. But you know what? I might challenge people to raise this up to that, what do they call that? The 30,000 foot view. And to say, you know what? No, I think what I need to first of all do is get my overall finances in control. And the best way to do that is to create a household budget. So that when I create a budget, I can identify areas where I can just naturally save more money. And then with that saved money, I can put half in savings and then half I can put it towards the credit card. Granted, right now that's not doing anything for finding a new job. However, once you get your personal finances in order, maybe finding a new job, you're not going to feel as desperate or something like that to get out of your current situation to find a job that is better pay, but yet it sucks your soul out of you every day, you know?
Exactly.
So that's just one example that I want to give to people that, but again, it takes your own soul searching. And I always tell people, write this stuff down, because having, black and white writing, or crayons if you want, I don't care, use whatever color you want,
exactly.
but to have
anything,
something,
color pencils, markers, right?
Yep. Have it in front of you, because when something's written down, it's almost like sometimes like a neon light. It almost jumps off the page at you sometimes. So
yeah. I like to write in different colors. Depending on how my mood is, I'll write in a different color. Like, oh, if this is a really, really happy thing, I might write it in like bright pink or something, just
I love
that. But and I really like that example. I think that was a great example for right now. And because a lot of people are struggling with their jobs, and now a lot of people don't have jobs. So they're like, what am I doing? What do I do? What goals should I set for myself? And I really wanted to touch on how you said, do some soul searching, because, some, and believe it or not, and maybe some people believe more, soul searching is really, 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 really important, I think, for this process, especially because you can't just, if you're asked, like, for example, if you're going to ask somebody, like their goals, and they're just like, I don't really know, I don't know what my goals are. I can't really think of them, then they might have to kind of take a step back and kind of look, and like we were talking about, writing it down, maybe start with journaling and kind of see how your day is going every day, and write down, how maybe your feelings every day. I don't know if that is something that you suggest to people. But I know that, as far as goals, that's something that I personally did to help myself. So.
Katie, I wish you could see me. I am sitting here with a chuckle smile on my face, because we need to meet each other face to face. I think we're like soul sisters here. Because when you started to ask this question, my mind immediately went to, the pandemic that we're still in it, right? And, some people might be listening to this thinking, oh, yes, it's easy for you to say because you're working, or, whatever the case may be. And I just lost my job, and, and I'm in an industry where it's suffering greatly. And so that's one thing why, being a mind, body, and spirit expert as I am, because with the pandemic, if it taught us anything, it really taught us that at the end of the day, all we can control is ourselves and our mind. I mean, it really is, and our attitude and all of that. So what you just said is 100% perfect, because if somebody is truly feeling just down and out, hopeless or whatever, I would really suggest a goal being to journal, because one, it captures feelings and thoughts, but I would highly suggest that the journaling, though, whatever, because sometimes you might just need to barf on paper, and I get that. But if you do that, just end it, though, with a positive learning, or a wish of hope or something like that. The reason I say that is because, what you put out into the universe does happen. It does occur. And so therefore, I always want people to think positively, speak positively. When they're talking about themselves, speak in a very, very positive tone, because you have to love yourself. But yeah, so if somebody is feeling just not great right now, just have your goal be, like you just said, I'm really big on setting alarms. Set an alarm for whatever, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, however long it takes you to drink your morning coffee, whatever, and just journal in that amount of time. Or challenge yourself to find, 2 or 3 things every single day to be thankful for. The point of it is really just to turn your mind around and really just try and find the positive. And, once you can do that, you'll be surprised how opportunities present themselves again.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's so amazing how the universe works, and when we put things out there, like and you keep to it and you stick to it, like the habits we were talking about and the repetition again, you're gonna see amazing things happen in front of you. And I can personally say it. I know you can personally say it. Lots of people that I talk to can personally say it. It's just believing in yourself. Like you
Right,
said,
right.
know?
On that note, there are a couple of things. These are just some tips and tricks. Some of your listeners may have heard some of these before, but I just made a little bit of reference to this. But so this goes back to what you just brought up a moment ago, Katie, but it also ties into when people create their goal or two for the year. Because sometimes too, if you are a journaler, they do suggest like writing out your goal, like a few times a day, just getting out your journal and writing what it is. And so when you do that, you should always say, I am. So I have to tell you, for years, I have been calling myself, I am an international best-selling book author of a book that changes lives and saves lives.
Yeah, I love that. That's amazing. Right.
Well, thank you. But I kind of laugh because it took years for, me to publish a book, and I'm not quite there yet with the international bestseller, but I hope to be on my way.
You will be.
Thank you. But so for somebody who might be unemployed right now, like the goal could be, I am an employed, person working my dream job, making six figures, or, whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's because the theory with that is, again, it goes back to your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference. When your subconscious mind sees this vision board and it sees you having financial freedom and, living on a hobby farm surrounded by horses or whatever your dream is, your subconscious mind does not know that that's real or not real, but it sees it as a picture and it puts it in your head. So again, that computer. So the same goes with the words you speak. So when you say, I am a fill in the blank, your subconscious mind doesn't know that you're not that yet. So that's another little subconscious trick. So I always encourage people to do that. So if you are somebody who decides, every morning while you're sipping your coffee, just to rewrite out your goal, handwrite your goal 5 times in a row, start with I am. One other thing, I love this. They say that when you write out your goal, you should always end it with or something better. And I do too. Because
really like
what? Right. Because we have our human, ego minds that actually can block things. Like I can dream up whatever's in my mind, but you know what? God or angels or the universe might have something 1,000,000 times better for me that I don't even know about right now. So,
right.
yeah,
exactly.
So ending it with or something better, you keep that door open for the universe to give you something better.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's really cool. I didn't, and I kind of knew about the I am, putting yourself in there, but the or something better, that I think that's beautiful. I really do. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I like that too. And I'm sure I read that because I'm a big avid reader. I'm sure I read that somewhere long ago and that stuck in my memory.
I'm like that too. I'll catch phrases or statements in books, which is, another thing too, if people can handle it. Cause I know not everybody is a reader. Just try to read a couple chapters or, maybe newsletters, which I wanted you to talk about yours a little bit, or, some magazines. It's so good to read because sometimes like there's such power. I don't know if that's what I was trying to say. Inspiration in words,
Yes.
there really is. Like it's really cool for a human being anyways.
Right. Right.
So
one thing I do like about goals, because one underlying message I have in every single thing I do, but with every client I work with, and this matches my company name and why I named it this way. So my company name is Be You to Be Full. So everything I do, I want my clients to remember to be themselves and love themselves. So the Be You, because when they do that, you actually live a very fulfilled life. So to be full. And also, I spelled it a little goofy, but the reason I did that is because I wanted people to, if they said it quickly or looked at it quickly, that it could look like the word beautiful.
It does.
Yeah, good.
I like that.
Because I want people to know, because we're talking about goals today. So even if people want to enhance a certain area of their life, I want everyone to know that even though you're trying to enhance something about yourself, you are still absolutely beautiful how you are right now. You're just improving yesterday's you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And sometimes, everybody has memories and, we have experiences. So sometimes, also remembering that the next day, even though you don't want to do it or you have a different feeling, just keep pushing through and keep telling yourself that, you got this and the affirmations and all that stuff. So,
well, and remembering that you are worth it,
right,
like
exactly.
Why can't Katie have her dream home? Why can't, Connie, be that international best-selling book author?
Right.
There's no reason you can't, I can't, our listeners can't. So at the end of the day, it is about respecting yourself enough to know that you are worthy and you're deserving and that you can do it. And if you don't know how, there's so much, help and support and, you can Google and, search YouTube for anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I wanted you to talk about, since we have about 15 minutes left, I wanted you to just, if there was anything else with, as far as like a vision board that you wanted to touch on, if there's anything that we didn't cover, because I wanted to make sure that we covered all the aspects, what you feel are the important aspects of creating the vision board so that people can feel, a little bit more fulfilled and full, like you were talking about.
Yes. I guess, and this is a recap, I would say plan that you're going to do it so that you can carve out a couple of hours in your day, find a very comfortable room for you, surround yourself with, whatever you need to surround yourself to make you comfortable and feel calm and at peace. Have everything in front of you so there's no excuses. You can start it and stop it all in one fell swoop. So that is a poster board in any size you want, or as you mentioned, like a canvas board, like a painted canvas board, or a cork board, anything that you can place images on. And then, so that's your backdrop, I'll call it. So your poster board type of backdrop. Surround yourself with a bunch of magazines, like a huge variety of magazines. Some people might ask, well, how many? And, that's hard to say because it just depends on the magazines you get and stuff like that. But I would say, try and have at least 20 of them. And, go to your library or, I don't even know if hair salons carry magazines anymore because of COVID, but I guarantee you can find them somewhere, or even like a recycling house or something. But I also tell people, because we don't want any excuses with anything. If you just don't have access to magazines for whatever reason, then you know what? Go on Pinterest or go on Google and just start printing some images that really speak to you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then, no, I'm sorry, Katie, go on.
No, I was actually just going to say something about that. And if they don't have access to magazines, I'm sure, you could utilize the internet or your phone somehow, you can screenshot, all kinds of things you can do with technology now.
Exactly. Yep. And then, and then scissors, so you can cut, the things out of the magazine or, your printed copies of what you downloaded from the internet. And then tape or a glue stick or old Elmer's glue, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then and again, no right or wrong. You just assemble it however you want to assemble it. I do, though, please put the date on the back of it. I promise you there will be a day that you flip that vision board over and you gasp in astonishment. And that date will help you to do that. But yeah, that's really it. But again, remember, it's very futuristic. It's not a goal that I mean, it can be, I guess, some things could be a goal that you have a year down the road, but it really is, how do you want to see your life in around 10 years down the road?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And you don't even give two hoots. You don't stall yourself by caring about how it's going to happen. This is not about how, this is about what.
Yeah, exactly. And I like that you said that. That was a good ending note to say, not about the, it's about how, not about the, oh my goodness. I'm just, let's forgive me for a second. Oh my gosh. See, remember when we just said that I was having a wonky day today and I was just trying to repeat back to you what you said, and I knew what I was trying to say. Okay. This is just how this goes. Everybody that listens to me know that this is just what happens and whatever. This is life, right?
Exactly. Exactly. But, I'm kind of glad, though, that you had that fumble, because it's like, okay, so this is about your what, not your how, because then your goals actually are your how.
Thank you.
It's, yep.
Yes, I just wanted to repeat what you said because I thought that was very important on the actual creating the goals, because like I said, you want to make excuses, you want to do that, just think about it differently and approach it. Like I keep saying, it's an investing in yourself and you're fulfilling yourself. But I did want you to, we weren't able to talk about this very much last time, but on your website you have a newsletter. Would you mind talking about that just a little bit? That you have?
Yes, and thank you. Because I'm very excited about it, because actually, this coming Friday, I don't know for sure when this is going to air, but I think it's Friday the 15th of January. Don't quote me on that date because I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I am going to be launching a very regular series. So I titled myself a mindset mentor to help people align their mind, body, and spirit for a life of endless possibilities. Because again, going back to what can you control in this life, what you can control is you and your mind, your body, and your spirit, your attitude, your essence, that type of thing. So what I am doing is I am going to come out in that order too, because I really think it is, it's mind, body, and spirit in that order. So I am coming out with a video and a blog twice a month, and it'll be on all three of these topics. And then I do have a free download for each of these topics. And so if anybody goes out to my website, which is Connie Jo Holmes, and that's ConnieJO Holmes, HOLMES.com. If you go out to my website, down at the bottom, there's a footer where you can sign up for my newsletter. And once you're signed up in there, you will have access to all this stuff. You'll see everything as it rolls out. All of this is free. It's intended just to help people understand the importance of their mind, body, and spirit, how they are all interconnected, why having them in alignment is so important, but then also some tools and tips and tricks, just like I hope I've done, on this podcast as well as the previous one, about how you can do these things for yourself. The very first download is called 7 Steps to Mind Your Mind. So to give you a little idea of like the type of information that you'll be getting.
Well, that's very generous of you to be doing that free stuff, because you also do the meditation and then the group that you do once a month on Thursdays, I think you said.
Yes,
So that's really cool that you offer so much to the community. And that's probably why all these listeners hopped on. They're like, man, Connie's just got it going on.
Well, thank you. It's, I love what I do. I absolutely love it.
I can tell. Definitely. I love hearing, but that's why, you and I connect so well, is because that's the type of person that I am. When I can really hear it in your voice and I can just tell how much you love it and how passionate you are, I love it too, because I love hearing you talk about it. Yeah. And that's why, having you on here again was just a no-brainer, because I'm like, yeah, we'll have a great conversation and we'll just vibe off each other and, it'll be great, and she'll have great things to say. So I really appreciate you too. too.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. I do appreciate it. So, and I strive to give a lot of resources for free because, I feel, why not? Because so much of what I talk about, I've read somewhere or heard somewhere, you know what I mean? So it's really just, and a lot of times you do find that people in the space really are saying the same thing. They just might say it a little bit differently, or you know how like you might resonate with somebody just a little bit differently. And so, yeah, so none of this is really new information. It just might be packaged or bundled a little bit differently. But I do, though, with my BU to be full business, I do see clients, one-on-one, and I am shortly, probably about the middle of the year, I will be rolling out with, some webinars and things like that.
Totally.
It'll be it'll be a fee with that, but but it'll still be a good entry point that most people can, join in and things like that. So, so those are things that I do, for the business aspect of things. But, I still view that if there's anything I can do to help people, that's, what it's all about.
Yeah, and like I said, it's just the passion that you have for it, and people can see that, when they see that you've came so far and that you've done this yourself, you've implemented this yourself, and you're basically living proof of your own work, in the book that you wrote. So people can look at you, and when you offer those things, they basically follow through with it because they're like, well, if she can do it, I can do it type thing, You're an inspiration. So.
Thank you. And I do have to say, I thank you so much for that, Katie. Those are very kind words. But also, I am nobody special. I grew up in the Midwest. I'm a farmer's daughter. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, no special privilege or, whatever. And but my point of saying that is you are 100% right. Anybody can do anything that they set their mind to. And hopefully all of your viewers, hopefully they all heard that themselves from their grandparents, right?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So and the other, I don't know if we talked about this, your other website too, but if you want to mention your other website as well for the listeners that might not have gotten it last time.
Yes. And you know what, Katie, I have to tell you, so my website, they're actually synced together. So
okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah. My company name is BU to be full, but how it's spelled is, the letter B, the letter U, the number 2, the letter B, and then the word full. And so that's a little goofy to have to say, like, over a podcast. And so I actually, where I have my website through, we actually did a redirect to Connie Jo Homes because that's just much more succinct and easy to say.
Yeah, right. Well, and it's awesome that you can link it like that. I didn't even know that you were able to do that, but that's perfect. That's great to know.
Yes.
Okay,
it's
awesome.
I work with GoDaddy. I'm going to give them a plug. They are the best company, I swear. They are. And their customer service, I wish they could train the world on customer service because it would be a happy place.
Oh man, I might have to switch over then.
They are the best. But anyways, yeah, so they were able to do that for me. And so I did that intentionally. So yeah, so you can find me under BU to be full or Connie Jo Homes. My social media channels, though, so my personal one, which is wide open, is Connie Jo Homes. And then my business, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or whatever, it is the BU to be full.
Okay, cool. Hey everybody, this is KT. I just wanted to thank you for tuning in, and I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful, lovely day.